I give you like a 60-second warning? Good. You can't hear me? I don't want to. What got so quiet? Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm Sandy Plotin, and on behalf of the Center on Disabilities at California State University, Northridge, I would like to officially welcome you to the 32nd Annual CSUN Conference, and, with Harry Murphy's blessing, the first CSUN Assistive Technology Conference, our new name and brand. I know every year I say I'm going to come up with some new remarks, but seriously, this has been a rough year for me, so it's just not going to happen this year. So I'm going to have to tell you that the CSUN Conference is the largest, longest running, and only university-sponsored conference of its kind. That it is the best place for newcomers who are interested in this field to meet people and learn and have a great experience. This conference brings together researchers, practitioners, consumers, educators, great speakers. It's going to be a terrific week. And I have to say one other thing, hands down, and this is definitely a fact, the conference is the best place for networking. Another reason to come to the conference, as always, is our amazing exhibitors. They bring their latest technologies, services, and products. So be sure to visit the exhibit hall, and you'll probably have to go there a couple of times. Before we start the program, I just want to give you a few pieces of news and advice. We're very proud to announce that we have a preview PDF draft of the journal, our 2017 Journal on Technology and Persons with Disabilities. We made some great changes to the timeline. Thanks, guys. And now you can preview the journal before you go to the research and science track. We're going to be publishing this spring, so remember that this is just a pre-published draft. Don't cite it, don't reference it. And while I'm at it, can I give a little shout out to the editorial team because they did a great job. Check out their names on in the journal. I forgot to say one other thing that I want to brag about the journal, and because from last January to this January, we had over almost 19,000 article downloads, just 1 year. Now, when I find my place, I want to give you some more good news. And the good news is that we once again surpassed our highest attendance last week before we left the office. Still getting new registrations. Now, unfortunately, that means there's always some bad news, and that means we're going to have sessions that are full. And I know we tell you this every year, but please, please try to plan some alternative options. If your session's full, try and find something else to go to. Our team of red shirts are really just trying to follow our policies and procedures. They can't add seats. They can't do anything about the capacity of the room, and we're obviously just following the fire code. So please, we'd appreciate your cooperation in advance. Bear with me one more minute before we really get going. I just want to say once again, I want to acknowledge my staff. They're usually brilliant. This year they went over and above because I've been out on 2 medical leaves, and they have completely exceeded any expectations I could ever have. So crew, you're awesome. That's it. Before I introduce Mike Paciello, our conference chair, I'm going to give you a few bits of information about him, although I'd be surprised if there's anybody here who does not know him or know of him. But he's pretty easy to spot. He's one of the few guys who walks around the conference with a suit on. Mike has been a pioneer and influential figure in the accessibility industry for more than 2 decades. He wrote the first book on web accessibility and usability, titled Web Accessibility for People with Disabilities, and has since achieved many notable milestones. Last year, at a special event held at CSUN Conference, Mike was the recipient of the second Lifetime Achievement Award from Nobility. Now, I could say a lot more about Mike and what he's done, but he asked me not to because said everybody knows it and they would just be bored. So I will just say that Mike is a valuable colleague, collaborator, friend, and one of our biggest cheerleaders and supporters. So please join me in welcoming our 2017 CSUN Conference Chair, Mike Paciello.
Or as I like to say, blah, 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 blah. It's yada, yada, yeah, I like that one even better. Very happy to be here this year, 2017, and certainly with, wow, what a great crowd. I think that everyone will find that this year's event is packed with a number of interesting sessions. We've got some great exhibitors. We have some awesome sponsors that are helping to pull all this together. And Sandy kind of stole my thunder in relation to her staff and the team who are pulling us together over the last few months. It is nothing less than miraculous to be able to put something like this together so we can enjoy ourselves. So let's give them another hand. Our keynote speaker this evening is Dr. Kellie Lim. When I read over her biography, and I should say, I think most don't know, Dr. Harry Murphy, the founder of this conference, actually recommended Dr. Lim to be our keynote speaker, so we're very glad to have her. But when I read her biography, had a few minutes to talk with her and her husband Matthew, one quote comes to mind, and it's one that you probably have heard before from Calvin Coolidge: persistence is omnipotent. And I think, again, if you just listen to her story and what she has to share with us this evening, you will be moved as I have been moved by her biography. Just a couple of very brief points about Kellie. She is a physician at UCLA Health, specializing in allergy and immunology. She was born and raised in Michigan to a Chinese immigrant family. Dr. Lim has firsthand experience in the difficulty of accessing medical care, especially for those with physical and mobility disabilities and limited resources. So again, I promised Kellie that I would keep the bio short because I've got to believe she's going to introduce some of what she's had to overcome. So, friends and colleagues, I introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Kellie Lim.
Thank you, Mike, for that great introduction. I am very happy to be here tonight to speak to all of you. It is an honor and a privilege. Speak up? Okay. I'm sorry. Is this okay? Perfect. Okay. Like Mike said, I was asked to come here to share with you my life story, how my physical ability has affected my decisions, the lessons I've learned over the course of my life, and how my actions can influence others. I was born into an immigrant family from China. Both sides came from China and moved to Michigan. Their hope was for the next generation to attain the American dream. That somehow there would be fewer roadblocks and easier access to happiness and prosperity. However, that was not the case. Life is hard for a lot of people, and nothing is ever perfect. My family, both sides, worked in the restaurant business. They worked long hours every single day. They hardly had a day off, and a vacation was never heard of. My mother, who was, in her teenage years, one of the last in her family to come over to Michigan. She started high school trying to learn English and also worked as a waitress at her family's restaurant. However, over the next couple of years, she began to lose her vision. And by the age of 20, she became completely blind. At that point, there was very little access to medical care due to no health insurance coverage and high out-of-pocket costs. So by the time she made it to the ophthalmologist, it was probably too late. But even if there was no treatment for her blindness, my family was very disappointed and even blamed the physician for causing the blindness because he shone the bright light into her eyes and caused her to be blind. So it's interesting to come from a family, for me as a physician, and how they don't trust physicians. So, but they will brag about me though. So, to make things more tragic, her older sister succumbed to the same condition. So both my aunt and my mother were completely blind by the time they were in their 20s. My mother eventually quit her job as a waitress, but it was amazing how she continued to work even with low vision. She never learned how to use a cane or any assistive devices, in fact. So over the next few years, she met my father and had 3 children, and I'm the middle child. My father worked hard to financially support the family, and my mother was the homemaker. And I never thought of her as having a disability because that was all I knew. She cooked many of our family dinners. She woke us up for school, got us ready for school by helping us put our clothes on and gather up all our things. And she even walked us to school. And I would walk with her by myself sometimes. And our community was small. The elementary school was just a few blocks away. But when she dropped me off from school, she would walk back home. And this is miraculous to me nowadays because she didn't have a cane. She just memorized which street she was crossing, and she would listen intently for any cars. And she never got hurt, and she always found her way back home. So when I was about 8 years of age, on April Fool's Day, 1989, I contracted meningococcal disease. This is a serious bacterial infection that can cause meningitis or septic shock. I was pretty much near death. About, one of my physicians said I had a 15% chance of survival. All of my family members received prophylactic antibiotics to ward off an infection because they were exposed. Unfortunately, my 2-year-old brother came down with high fevers, and he was hospitalized also. So I could not imagine what my parents were going through. One child near death and a second child with the same infection. My brother pulled through and he did okay. Nothing happened to him. I was not so lucky. What happened was that I was hospitalized for a total of 4 months. After the first month, my physicians finally agreed to amputate both of my lower extremities, my right arm, and several fingers of my left hand. And so they waited as long as they could because they had to salvage as much material as they could, material meaning my body, in order to adequately fit my limbs into prosthetics. By that time, I had to learn how to use my left hand. I was right-handed in the first place, so I had to learn with my left hand to do everything. It was a very difficult time, learning basic things like walking, trying to eat with utensils, writing, and just getting back to a normal life. So in total, I spent 4 months in the hospital, and afterwards, well, I missed several months of third grade. And my school is kind enough to let me go to the fourth grade because I performed well enough to go to the fourth grade. My school district offered to send me to a special school where they have more support for children with disabilities. But my father wanted me to make that decision of whether I wanted to go or not. And I said to him that I wanted to go back to my elementary school where my friends are. And once I made that decision, the school district was very supportive. This was 1989. This was the year before the Americans with Disability Act was passed into law in 1990. They were not required to accommodate me, but they did. They made a special stall in the bathroom just for my use so that my wheelchair can fit in it. They even hired an aide that was specifically with me at all times during the day so that I can participate in every single classroom activity as possible. And this is surprising to me because I grew up in a very lower middle class, blue collar community, and even with minimal resources, they were there to support me. And you know, I'm very grateful for that. For several years, I underwent rigorous physical and occupational therapy, and I would have multiple surgeries to revise the amputations that I had because it was just painful to walk. And I don't think I was ambulating full time until I was in high school, which was probably 5 years after my initial hospitalization. And I was even given, as you know right now, I'm not wearing any prosthetic arms. I was even given a myoelectric arm in the hopes that I would use it to support myself, and I just kind of used it as a prop in a way to hold my papers down while I was writing. I never got used to it. I'm always in awe of someone else when I see them with a myoelectric arm or even just a standard prosthetic arm, and they can use it with such beauty and grace. I wish I could do that, but I just have no patience, and that's one of my, you know, a curse or a blessing. I feel like it's a blessing, but many people think it's a curse. So, so I think as the years went by, it's just not about my internal struggle. I think with people with physical disabilities, it's a very isolating life. You know, even if you can talk to others with the similar type of disability, it's not the same. Everyone has a different experience, a different idea of what their abilities are and what they can and can't do. So sometimes it's hard to convey the frustration that you might feel, and I think everyone goes through this, even people without disabilities, but I think it's just extra hard when we cannot interact with our environment as well as we should be able to. And when I think about disabilities, it's really just a construct of an environment. If the environment fits you, you shouldn't have a disability. Unfortunately, the environment is there to serve the most common people who do not have disabilities. You have to persevere and be resilient, and you have to know your limitations, what you can and cannot do. And you don't listen to other people. You can get their advice, but if it doesn't really work for you, you have to be accepting of that. You have to be trusting of what of your own intuition and what you can and cannot do. There was difficulties when I went to medical school. My mother wanted me to become a pediatrician to pay back all of the efforts that my physicians had to keep me alive. And in fact, I kind of toyed with the idea for several years, and by the junior year of my college, I didn't I actually still didn't know what I wanted to do, and I actually took the GRE, the LSAT, and the MCAT. So I covered all my bases. My sister is a lawyer, so when I talked to her about it, I figured I wouldn't make a great lawyer. So I chose medicine, but how would a medical school accept me? There are no physical requirements per se, so I started calling them up one by one, just kind of asking them what kind of assessment do you make, or do you make any at all? And a prominent school said, just kind of offhandedly said, you know, I talked to someone and they said that you wouldn't succeed, so I wouldn't even try applying. So I kind of, I was kind of, taken aback by that. And after a couple of days of stewing over it, I called her back and I was like, tell me who said that, and I want to talk to them. And, they they quickly backed off. And so eventually they were kind of courting me to go to their school. And I didn't go there. Other schools embraced me. They felt that my determination and my background were strengths and not weaknesses, that I would be able to succeed. I went to medical school at UCLA. I did my pediatric residency there. I did fellowship programs in both allergy and immunology and clinical pharmacology, and I even got a master's degree. So I don't really waste my time when I do things. And now I practice as an allergist immunologist at UCLA. With my experience as a pediatrician, I think one of the most, I don't know if it's disturbing, but perturbing for sure, is that the type of responses I get from young children. They already know what is, I guess, right or wrong or what's different. And when they come and see me, most of them are nice kids. They kind of, say hello, and I'm just a doctor. Some kids, they're just incessant in asking, what happened to your arm? What happened to your arm? And it's like, if you guys say, I just don't have a hand, and they just keep going and going, and the parent doesn't stop them, it's kind of a very difficult position to be in. And many times it's the parents who want to know, and they're just letting their kid kind of, take the fall for it. So, but I try to say, this is not about me. I'm the physician. I'm here to help you out. And sometimes I do share my story if it makes them feel a little better, because I do know that if I said I was sick and a little kid who maybe is 3 or 4 thinks he is sick, he or she is sick, they might think that they might get amputations all of a sudden. They have fantastical ideas and magical thinking, so you never want to enforce that idea that their sickness is not the same as my sickness. So, give me a moment here. I feel that I've been extremely lucky in life, even though a lot of challenges and obstacles have been in my way. I'm very fortunate to have a supportive family, friends, and husband. Being a young woman trying to date people, it's hard enough as it is out there. I'm very happy that my husband was able to see past that and marry me. So, for my mother, she passed away a few years ago. But I'm sure she's very happy that I'm a pediatrician, that I'm a doctor, that I'm giving back to the community. And I especially want to honor my sister, Nellie, my older sister. She's 3 years older. She's my confidant. She is brutally honest with me. She does not let me use my disability as a crutch. She will always remind me of what I've done and what I've surpassed in life, and even the hardest of times, I can pull through. One of the major decisions in my life, and knowing my limitations and what I can and cannot do, came about recently in the past couple of years. So I'm in my mid-30s and thinking about the future. Having prosthetic legs bilaterally, I cannot gain too much weight. It's about, I could maybe do 10 pounds each way. After that, the prosthetics don't fit, and it's painful. So as for having children, the decision was, should I carry my own or not? Because it would worsen my disability if I did, because usually, women would gain maybe 60 pounds or so. I can't gain that much weight and be functional. So my sister, who's my hero, has agreed to be my surrogate. And I'm proud to share with you that my husband and I are expecting a boy and a girl in June. So although I don't get to experience the life of being a pregnant mother, I'm sure my children would love me. So sorry about me being emotional, but thank you so much for hearing about me. And I would love to meet all of you, or as many of you as I can. But thank you so much for inviting me. It's been a pleasure, and it's an honor to speak to all of you.
Well, if you're not inspired by that, then you need to find another conference, really. Thank you so much. That was awesome, and we're quite moved by your experience, and congratulations again to you and Matthew. That's awesome. I just want to sneak in. I'm going to be a grandfather for the first time this year. That's good too, man. So, as you know, every year with our keynote speaker, we'd like to express a little bit of our appreciation. And so we have a plaque here for Dr. Lim. And very, very simply, it says, as our keynote speaker at the 32nd Annual CSUN Assistive Technology Conference, I'd like to present this to you, Kellie. Thank you. Okay, so moving on to our next session. We come to the point where we're about to present the Strache Award. This year's recipient is Clayton Lewis, a good friend of ours. Before you come up, Clayton. So if you've had a chance to read the conference handout, and you saw the chairman's address, letter that we write in there, you may have noticed that I wrote a little connection that Clayton and I happen to have. He's going to finish the equation, but I will start it by letting you know that both of us, quite interestingly, graduated from the same high school. Doesn't he look a lot older than me, though? So, and yet we're the same age. No. So very, very interesting. He's going to fill in a little bit more of that equation. Just that this was a very interesting trek from the same high school in Southern Connecticut and Westport, so I think you'll find that interesting. But let me just give you a little bit of insight into the Fred Strache Award. Fred, by the way, is a very close colleague to the university and was not only instrumental in bringing a lot of this program here, but he was a leader in education. And that's what this award is all about, recognizing the leadership and the contributions that our colleagues like Clayton Lewis have brought and honored our constituency and our colleagues and our friends in the disability community. I'd like to just read just a brief portion of his biography that you'll see in the program. Dr. Lewis is a professor of computer science and fellow of the Institute of Cognitive Science at the University of Colorado, Boulder, where he has been based since 1984. He is well known for his research on evaluation methods and user interface design. Two methods to which he and his colleagues have contributed, the thinking aloud method and the cognitive walkthrough, are in regular use in software development organizations around the world. And I might plug, this is a common thing within TPG as well, so certainly something we recognize. He has also contributed to cognitive assistive technology, to programming language design, to educational technology, and to cognitive theory in casual attribution and learning. He was named University of Colorado's President's Teaching Scholar in 1989, a life title signifying the university's highest award for teaching. So with that, Clayton. So again, I just want to read it from here that the Fred Strache Leadership Award is presented to Dr. Clayton Lewis, Professor of Computer Science and Fellow of the Institute of Cognitive Science, University of Colorado, Boulder, at the 32nd Annual CSUN Assistive Technology Conference, February 28th, 2017, acknowledging exceptional leadership in the field of disability and technology and a commitment to empowering people to improve their lives.
Well, thank you, Mike. What an honor to be on a list with these previous awardees: Catherine Fichten, David Rose, Arthur Karshmer, Cheryl Bergstaller, Klaus Miesenberger, Jim Fruchterman, Alan Muir, John Williams, Harry Murphy, Mike Paciello. I'll say this isn't a complete list. The complete list exists on Sandy's hard drive, but I didn't have time to hack into that in preparing these remarks. But Mike's name coming up there as well. Let me complete the reference that he started there. So also from Staples High School, our alma mater, another graduate is Jennifer Simpson, whom some of you may know. Jennifer was instrumental in leading the successful effort to create and pass the 21st Century Communication and Video Accessibility Act. So we're a proud bunch there at Staples. Well, added to those names, there's Fred Strache himself. Even though he's been gone from CSUN for many years, he's still remembered warmly by generations of CSUN students. So I'm very grateful to the CSUN organizers for placing me in company with all of these wonderful people. For this, I must thank the organizations and communities that have supported the work that we all do for many years. The Coleman Institute for Cognitive Disabilities, Assistive Technology Partners, the Fluid Projects, the Global Public Inclusive Infrastructure Initiative, GPII, the National Institute on Disability and Rehabilitation Research, which it still was when I was there, SIG Access, which is the special interest group on accessible computing of the Association for Computing Machinery, and my home institutions, the Atlas Institute, the Institute of Cognitive Science, the Department of Computer Science at the University of Colorado Boulder, and most essentially, our students. So to all of those, and to you, the audience, for your kind appreciation, many, many thanks.
Far be it from me to correct Professor Lewis, but I have never received the Strache Award. Every once in a while, my wife pins a tail on my back end, but that goes without speaking. So, as we approach the end of our program this evening, we just wanted to point out a couple of program and conference highlights. If you've had a chance to look through our program, we have a number of things scheduled this week. We have the exhibits downstairs. We want to encourage everyone to go down there, check out some of the new technologies that are being displayed. We have our cyber cafe. We have our social hub. There are a number of refreshment breaks. All of those make the program the rich networking venue that in fact it is, and I would certainly say that most likely most of you are here for exactly that reason. But the other thing that we want to do is make sure that we recognize our sponsors. There's a lot that goes into a conference like this, an event like this, and none of it really happens without the support of the sponsors. So we want to express a deep appreciation to them. Let me just read the names of those companies, and then if we could respectfully give them a round of applause. So we have Ability Magazine, Adobe, Amazon, Blackboard, Capital One, DQ, Diversibility, and Diversibility.com Inc., AI Squared, Freedom Scientific, Optelec, which I believe now is under the umbrella of VFO, Google, Microsoft, Oracle, and the SSB BART group. Let's give them all a big round of applause. So again, we're very happy to get started. It's only Tuesday. We have a reception waiting here for you. Let's take the time, let's get to know each other. If you're new here, please be sure to introduce yourself, and let's just have a great conference. Thank you.